Alright, this time at the Quick Speed Shop, we're working on leaf springs and doing a bunch of other stuff on the 40 Mercury. I'm a professional, don't try this at home. Okay, I'm back at it here on the 40 Mercury project. Last time you saw, I put the rear end and the leaf springs in here. But I got a problem. I think the springs are too soft and they go inverted here. The springs are pretty much flat. They're like an aftermarket spring. The bolts on 35 to 40 Ford. And I think they're a little too soft. This car is a little bit heavier than a Ford. And I just think the springs are too soft and I want to beef them up. So I'm going to pull the springs and the rear end back out of the car. And I'm going to take them apart. I'm going to have my spring shop, local spring shop, make me 2 more leafs. Right now I got 4 leafs. And I want to make 2 more and go to 6. And then set the rear end back in here and stiffen it up a little bit. Get the ride height where I want it, then we're going to build some shock mounts and stuff. But first thing I got to do is jack this back up, unbolt the wheels, and unbolt the axle housing itself. Probably leave the axle housing right in the car and then just pull the springs out and we'll take a look at them. Alright. Okay, I got the springs out of the car here. You can see these are they're 4 leafs, and they have the little nylon bushings, which you probably can't see right now, but there's nylon bushings in them. This one, unfortunately, has got a little bit of rust, a little bit of surface rust, a little bit of minor pitting on it, but it shouldn't affect that. I'm going to grind this down. Yeah. Just put it in there a little bit. I'm going to grind it down the best I can and clean it up. I want to determine how much arch are in these leaves so I can tell the spring shop how much arch to make in the new leaf. And I can eyeball it here with the straight edge. Measure from the straight edge to the leaf here. Come on, man. Two inches. There we go. So how these work is you got these straps here to keep the leaves from splaying out around each other. They've got some bolts, so just take the nuts off those. And then there's a center pin which has a round head on it that goes and indexes in the round hole in the pad of the rear end. So this is what holds the spring together. You want to be careful taking these apart. There could be a lot of tension on them. I can probably even get a clamp on here so they don't spring apart, because they could spring apart like that. So that'd be a good idea. But first I'm going to take these clamps loose here. Should be 9/16. Yeah. Better safe than sorry here. Better safe than sorry. Alright, before I take this apart, I'm going to number your letter, which is the front here, because these leaves are staggered. Use vice grips to hold it. I'm going to run the nut about 3/4 of the way down off the stud, like that, and then I'm going to take some of the weight off these clamps, and the spring should start to expand out a little bit. Alright. They're starting to go like this a little bit here. I'll take some more of the nut off. Take some more clamp out of it. Just gotta be careful. Be careful. You know what? Well, these are clamped up. I'm going to pull this pin out. Which has been cut off. And I'm going to put a longer bolt in this, and then I can release it with a longer bolt. Be careful. At least this will keep it from killing you if it wants to come apart. It should be, yeah, it should be just about relaxed here. Okay, there we go. I got it so I can take the tension off it by hand now. Just like that. Bam. Unfortunately, they just dunk these in paint when they're bare metal. And now they're all rusty between each other. So there we go. So I'm going to have to clean these all up with the grinder, get all this rust out of here. I'm going to do the same process on the other spring, get that one apart. So okay, so I got all the springs disassembled now, and I'm planning out my plan for my new extra leaves here. So here's the main leaf, and then the secondary leaf. Second leaf goes like this, and it wraps almost eye to eye here. And then the third leaf ends up being a lot shorter. So what I think I want to do is make a new third leaf that goes almost end to end on the second leaf. So it'll be about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches longer than the original third leaf. Then have the third leaf turn into the fourth leaf, and then the fifth leaf here, which will turn into the fifth leaf. This should actually be the sixth leaf. So I'm going to make one more leaf that is going to be a new fifth leaf that's going to come out almost to these clamps, and then have this one on the bottom. So I'm going to add a third leaf and a fifth leaf. I think that'll work out. Give it a little more stiffness in there. I'm going to get the leaves made. I'll tell them to put 2 inches of arch in the two I want to put on here, and that'll suck these mains around, and it'll make the whole thing want to have 2 inches of arch. So that's what we'll do, I guess, because these all have these intermediate leaves all stack up pretty good with a lot of arch, and then then the mains are pretty flat. So I'll use the rest of the spring pack to suck the main around with it, put a little tension into it, I guess. Not a spring guy, we're just playing around here, seeing how it works. So I guess what I'm going to do is get these all cleaned up with the grinder and get them painted here. I got to do a lot of welding in the car while the springs are out. I've got to weld all the perches up all the way around, build some gussets, get that all dialed in, just kind of get it dialed in to where it's got to be. So when this stuff's ready, then we can install the leaves permanently in the car. got all my grinding and welding done here. I welded the perches all up, and then I also made some gusset plates over here. Oh, now we got a shadow. Hold on. I took some triangle pieces I'll show you I got at the scrapyard at the steel yard the other day. I got some triangle pieces they had in a bin, and I turned one into a gusset here. I welded it up here on the outside of the frame rail first, and hammer formed it around to the other rail and welded it up good, so that made a nice corner gusset there. I've got the spring pocket welded on. I got a gusset, let's see if you can see it. Got a gusset there on the inside going up to the frame there. I also went and I added a triangle here. I took another one of those triangles and I boxed this this gusset piece that was in top that was a triangle. I went and I gusseted in, so now this is reinforced on both sides, so that should be really good. Got strength here. It's boxed way up on here like that a lot, so that's really good. Over here on the back of the frame, I welded the rear spring hangers all the way around. They're on there good. Everything's welded up good there. So the rails are all complete now. Everything's welded up all the way down, tied in. They're pretty much ready for primer. I'm going to be adding a rear cross member across here when I put the rear end back in. But I just want to show you that I got everything all welded up where it's got to be. Everything's welded and ground down, and it's all ready to go here all the way around pretty much. Well, bam, through the magic of YouTube, it's the next day, and I've got my new springs back already. Check this out. I got 2 new leaves. Like I said, I got my new 3rd leaf, my new 5th leaf, made up at a thruway spring. They came out good and kicked them right out. I also got 4 brand new U-bolts because the U-bolts on the rear end had some rust on the thread, so I got 4 new U-bolts, and I got 6-inch long center bolts. So when I put the spring back together, I can squeeze it down with a long bolt and then just cut it off and I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and get the grinder out. I'm going to clean all the rust scale off all these, get all the paint knocked off them, take the mill scale off the new leaves. I'm just going to take the edges where they're sharp and going to grind all the edges around smooth on them. Get these things all dressed up, throw a coat of primer on them, then some black paint, and once they dry, you'll be able to reassemble the springs. So up here on the springs, they're all set, ready to go. I put the nylon biscuits back in here, whatever you call them, the slip pieces here. They just tap down in and stick through the hole in the spring. So I've done the semi-gloss in here. I got flat black on the other side of these leaves. When I put them together, then I'll clean the springs all up and paint them semi-gloss once that gets done. So I think I'm just going to get out some axle grease, just kind of like schmooey it on the surface of the leaf here, and that'll keep rust out of it and have it give a slipping surface all the way down, and then it'll like preserve the springs and they'll work really nice. I've got some old wheel bearing grease I got here that's just gray wheel bearing grease, and I'm going to use up here on these springs. This one's half full. All right. So really, what I want to do, let's pick out a spring to build first. Alrighty then. So I'm just going to take this grease with my finger, and I'm just going to schmooey it right onto the secondary leaf here. Put it on the nylon and everything, and just kind of get a nice coating all the way down. It doesn't have to be real thick. Here, just a good coating. I'm just going to work it down. It's going to smush out of the leaves a little bit. I'll have to wipe it off later. But just going to work it in here. This will also keep moisture and stuff out of the springs and keep them from rusting inside. You'll get a little bit of dirt attracted to it, but Ford from the factory, they had grease fittings in their in their center bolt on their spring, and you would grease the springs periodically. And then that was like in the 30s cars, and then later in the late 30s to the 40s they put a sheet metal wrap around the spring, and that kind of encased the grease in the spring and didn't let it get away. But I always like to do this. A lot of people don't do it, but a little grease ain't gonna hurt you. Smooth it up on there. Alright, so now I put an arrow on these, point to what was the front of the spring. It's that way, so I'm going to set this guy right down on top of here. Boom, like that. Now I was at the spring store. I got new center bolts with the pin for the rear end, and I got them 6 inches long, so I got plenty of action to put the spring together with. So now I just got to do the same process on all the leaves here and stack them right up. Okay, here's the spring going together here. I'm slowly using the long bolt to sucker down. But let's take a look at the new third leaf here. This is the new one I made. You can see it's not tapered on the ends, but it's coming right out and giving a lot of support. You can see where the original third leaf was, how far back it was from the second leaf. So now we got more support there. And over here at the same thing, the second leaf went out to the eyelet. Then the third leaf was back a little bit. So now the new third leaf is out giving some support. And then the new fifth leaf comes and bridges the gap between the sixth leaf, which is turned into the sixth leaf, and the fourth leaf. So we got extra support there. The new leaf's got just a little bit more arch than the main leaf and stuff, but when I draw it down, it'll bring all that around and suck everything down and put just a little bit more arch into the spring with the extra stiffness too. So I think this is what I needed to do for the car. I'm just slowly taking the wrench and cranking down around on the bolt. So hopefully this thing won't kill me. It appears to be cranking pretty easy. I'm just going to keep winding her down. The leaves are slipping real nice. Actually, where's my safety glasses just in case? Better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry, but she's... Oh, everything is super slippery. It's getting there. Alright, we're almost down. My cross bolts here, they've got some little collars on them, and I might have to ditch the collar for a couple of them because it's got the extra width, the extra spring. But we'll see. See if I need it or not. Show you what I did here. Put that collar in, and I'm going to do the same thing. You can see right here the bolt, when I got to squish it down so I can get the collar through there. This one's not a problem on the front one, but the spring is smushed right down there, and it should work good. Okay, here they are all painted up with a fresh coat of, a couple coats of satin black. They're going to dry out nice and satin. They're all assembled. I cut the bolts off. I got all my cross bolts in. I painted these, what do you call them, shackles in the back, painted those. So these ought to be real good in the car. We're not ready to put the rear end back in the thing yet. I want to get the frame rails primed and probably painted most of the way. That way I can bolt the springs in one time and not have to worry about masking everything off 50 times. And the rear end, before that goes in, I want to take the brakes off, take the axles out, put new axle seals in it, clean all the rust off, put some rust encapsulator on it, and get that painted Probably black, I would guess, or maybe like a hammer tone silver, silverish black, I don't know. Probably black. And I get that all ready, then I'll be ready to bolt these in. Bolt these dry and set them aside. And yeah, next time we'll work on all that rear end stuff, and I'll be priming and painting the frame rails. I think I'm going to do the frame rails yellow to continue how the original rails are yellow in the car. But I'll probably paint the floor of the trunk black and the wheel wells black. But I'll continue with the yellow frame out just to have continuity with the underside of the car. And then you know, have the black suspension on the back, even though the front suspension is yellow. I think it's get so grungy under there being yellow. And this car is going to be a driver. It's going to be one of my everyday drivers, and I'm not going to be out there with a toothbrush cleaning it every time it rains. So I'm going to black the stuff out, paint it black, hit the track, just like Hot Rod Garage says. But I'm happy with the progress today, or well, 2 days, 2.5 days, whatever, how long it took to make the springs and get all this ready. So bam, there we go. Appreciate everybody watching. Tell a friend, let's get some more subscribers, and we'll keep kicking out content here at the Quick Speed Shop. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time with a 4D Mercury project.